What up, y'all? Happy Thursday. I am here at UC Kayla TV back with another Sistas episode review. If it's your first time, welcome to UC Kayla TV, or if you're one of my regulars, welcome on back, y'all. We're about to really get into it this episode. I'm super excited because I haven't had this type of excitement about an episode in a minute. Like, part B been a little dry. But before we get into it, y'all, if you have not already, please remember to hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and like, comment, and share if you like the content. We're just going to get into it, y'all. Now, this episode, for whatever reason, it had only 8 scenes. Normally, there are like 10 to 11. However, we did have 2 double parts, like they were in the same location but on the phone. But I just counted it all as one scene because I'm going to try to get you guys through. So let's do it. This week was season 4, episode 15. The title was We Know Enough. Now, the synopsis was Danny makes things clear for Preston where they stand in their relationship. She did not. I don't know who came up with that synopsis, but they literally barely talked. So why would that be the synopsis of the whole episode? Very disappointing. Moving on, scene number 1. We're at the law firm with Zach, Andy, Hayden, and eventually Karen. So guys, we pick up where we left off, y'all. It was fight night last night. Zach beat the brakes off of Hayden. It was great to see the rest of that fight. Hayden was calling for security, for his mama, for the Lord. I'm just kidding. He wanted help. He didn't even try to hit Zach back. Which y'all know Hayden is very strategic, but even if he did try to hit Zach back, the way Zach was beating him up, he didn't want that smoke. I don't care what nobody says. Andy, after security came, Andy was trying to calm Zach down. I was like, I'm going to get Fatima out, because Zach just kept saying, where's Fatima? Now, those lines I didn't understand because he had already told him he was in jail. That's what started the fight. Y'all know what? Let me just tell y'all what happened, then I'll get into my opinion, because I could give an opinion on this scene all day. All right, Karen walks in as security is holding Zach, and then police, and she's like, what's going on? Then the police come in right after Karen comes in and actually arrest Zach and take him off to jail. Hayden continues to be a prick, and Andy goes off him, like, get out of here, and then he leaves. Andy and Karen go into her office to talk because that's why Karen popped up. Karen tells Andy right off the back, like, I don't know who, oh no, y'all, I'm getting mixed up. I'm sorry. I was right. Andy tells Karen first about the situation with Zach and Fatima. I'm sorry, y'all. Because Karen kept saying, like, what happened? And we gonna get into that. And then she barely says anything once she actually finds out, even though she was so pressed to know. And then she's like, I don't know who the father of this child is. And I was surprised that she actually told Andy, but we'll get into that. Andy does give Karen some good advice that she needs to relax for herself and the health of the baby, and she also needs to let Zach go. It'll be okay no matter who the father is, and the sisters will support her. You do have a support system. And Karen's like, I don't want to let him go or cut ties or whatever. Andy insists, and she's like, you know what, you're probably right. He's fighting for Fatima and all this stuff. Whatever. Who knows if Karen really heard it, because how many times have we had this exchange? Then Karen leaves. Andy immediately calls Robin and leaves a message for him to come quickly. And then Karen calls Aaron outside the door and asks him to come over her house. All right, now I'll get into my opinion. So in my opinion, Hayden deserved that beatdown. I just hope that Zach can get out of jail. And let me preface it by saying this. It's never okay for another adult to hit another adult. Fighting is not the solution, but in all honesty, I understand Zach's position. It was bad enough. If y'all see me looking over, I'm looking at my notes for the new people. I forgot to say that in the beginning of the video. But it was bad enough when Hayden was just like threatening Zach. Then he started doing things. This is from season 2, trying to get his freedom taken away, planting drugs in the truck, trying to kick him out of the program when he's turning his life around, trying to buy his house. It's been so many things that Hayden has done. But then it's like, now it's coming to Zach's woman, and he done put his hands on her, which really pissed Zach off, but he still backed off because Fatima said she'd handle it. But now you have gotten her arrested when you started all this mess. That was just the last straw for Zach. And it is what it is. I mean, like, what do people expect? Like, people on Twitter were going in. Y'all, Twitter was hot last night. If you're not following me on Twitter, follow me at thatgirlKaylaD, and it will be in the description. But yeah, Twitter, it was going off last night. But I'm just like, what do y'all expect? Like, Zach is from the streets and he's been in jail. If he did not react that way and put his hands on Hayden, we'd be like, oh, this is unrealistic. So, and I've been critical of some of the writing of Tyler Perry. Y'all know me, I'm gonna give my opinion, period. But it's just like, what did y'all expect? How did y'all expect that to go from a person in Zach's position with his background and whatever? Anyway, now on to Miss Andy. Miss Andy. And I said this, y'all, last week in my review. If you did not watch my review last week, please go watch it, because I said this. I said, Andy better not be talking, because we saw it in the preview. And I said, Andy better not be talking to Karen. I hope she's talking to Robin about Fatima and Zach, because why does Karen need to know that business? And then what did Andy do? Like, what happened to you staying out of it, Andy? And you didn't even have to tell her all that. Like, you literally could have just said, you know, Zach is beefing with that guy because that guy likes Fatima. And her imagination could have did whatever it wants to do. It's not like she don't know Zach is with Fatima, even though she pretend like she don't know. She knows that, and she knows Zach and his temper. So that would have been enough. You didn't have to give every detail. Fatima's in jail, da-da-da-da-da. Zach, like, Andy, why would you give Karen that type of information? And then after you said all of that, she didn't say anything. You know why? Because she doesn't care. She was just trying to be nosy. And you gave her what you shouldn't have given her, which was information. She was just trying to be nosy. And y'all know how she do in jail, Zach. She pays him dust. There was no concern. There was no, oh, that's the father of my child and he's going to jail then. She didn't care. Maybe I should be with Aaron. Like, she would. Karen has nothing for Zach. In a bind, Zach. Jail, Zach. Zach without money, Zach without a plan. Karen has nothing for him, no help, nothing. So there you go, Andy. Like, I was so through with Andy for even telling her that. Now that brings me to Karen. So you can clearly see, Karen, that no matter how much money or confidence Zach has, which Fatima helped him attain, that Zach is going to be Zach. Period. Like, money is not going to change that about a person. So obviously that's not your thing. And that's okay. Have a standard for yourself. It works for Fatima. So let Zach be Fatima's blessing and his headache. Because obviously she knows how to navigate that from the way that she grew up and the men in her family that she's dealt with. That doesn't bother her. If it bothers you, that's okay. Like, I don't understand why Karen is second guess. You was with that man for 3 years. You love to bring it up. This is who he has been for 3 years. The only thing he did not have 3 years ago was the confidence and the money. But Zach is still a whole person with multiple sides to Zach. So you know that's not something you rocking with. Then why are you going around for 2 seasons talking about how confused you are about it? You're not confused. You're conflicted because you want the success, the money, that's coming along with Zach. You're jealous because you feel like another woman is getting something that he didn't give to you. But guess what, boo? That other woman still has all sides of Zach that she had to deal with, just like you did. And you should know that firsthand. Like, that be my frustration with Karen. It's like she only wants to hone in and zoom in on, confidence, money. But yeah, Zach still be in that. Zach still has consequences and baggage from his former life that he's going to have to deal with. And Fatima's okay with that. That doesn't make Fatima wrong or right. That just works for them. That's how you know he's not your person and you're not his person. Like, I don't understand why this is so difficult to understand. And I just really want her to understand that she's admiring, Fatima's Zach, but that's not going to be her Zach. And if you continue to stand there all up staring at them, gazing off at them in the sunset, Aaron's standing there getting tired. He's going to eventually have to bow out because you're not investing anything into the person that's standing right behind your sides. I mean, that's what's standing right by your side. So whatever. That's my opinion on that. I'm moving on. Scene number 2. We're at the bank with Sabrina and Bio on the phone. And y'all already know, okay. Bio calls Sabrina and tells her that he sent all those ridiculous flowers to the hospital that he had sent to her job. And then Sabrina shares that, she's about to drive herself home or whatever. going to Andy's house, and he's like, have you ever been driven around? And then it's like, oh, can you come over? She's like, you can come over later so you can see me again, because he asked when he can see her again. Y'all, I mean, no shade to the actors, but I promise you, I couldn't care less about this storyline. Like, we already know her and Calvin are going to get back together like they always do. So I'm not wasting my time getting invested in another new man for Sabrina. Like, it's unoriginal at this point, and it's exhausting. Moving on. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, then I'll address it later, but yeah. All right, scene number 3, we're at Danny's house with Danny and Preston. Preston calls Danny from outside of her apartment and saying he's there to get his stuff. She lets him in, and then Preston is acting like he didn't realize he came at a different time than what he told her earlier that day. She tells him to drop the Zach act, and then Preston starts to tell Danny for real how he feels, and Sabrina busts in and ruin the moment. Preston leaves, and then Danny tells Sabrina she was right about Zach's involvement when it comes to Preston, and then they leave to go to the store. So, my opinion, like, none of my friends have keys to my home, but, you know, also my best friend does not live in town with me. But my bestest friend, like, if she lived here, I wouldn't mind that, like, for an emergency situation or whatever. But, ma'am, if I'm home, I need you to knock or ring. And she would. Like, she wouldn't just use the key, nor would I do that to her. Like, Sabrina, Danny was home, and you knew that because you had talked to her earlier that day. So why are you using the key to walk into her house? You can knock. But anyway, that's just my opinion. And then as far as Danny and Preston, I'm over it. If they work it out, great. If they don't, oh well. It is exhausting. It's been 4 seasons of the back and forth, and we just want a resolution. Like, they were literally moving in the right direction, and then Tyler Perry made Danny overreact about essentially nothing because it was things that they had resolved along the way, and then here we are. So I'm done with it. Y'all let me know how y'all feel in the comments. It is what it is. Scene number 4, we're at Maurice's apartment with Maurice, Calvin, and Q. Boy, we just getting the unnecessary scenes back to back. So they just had dinner. Calvin is now advocating for Q to stay with them. And he's like, oh, Q can stay on the couch or whatever. Telling Maurice, even though this Maurice's house, but whatever. And then Calvin leaves. Maurice tells Q reluctantly that he can stay, but he needs to cook and clean and leave him alone. So my opinion, I will offer a short opinion this time because normally I don't. But Calvin done lost his cotton picking mind. Like, why would Maurice be okay with that? And then sometimes Maurice can be a little overly mean to people, especially Sabrina, but I really understand why he keep coming home, cursing them out and going off on them, because he gets no respect even in his own home. First of all, Maurice has a big heart, even though he has a hard exterior, but he's been there for people. But Calvin is taking advantage of that. He's abusing Maurice's big heart because, first of all, Calvin, Maurice really didn't want you there. But you were in a bind, and he let you stay. But it's not like he couldn't afford his apartment and he needed a roommate, or he had posted signs for a roommate or something like that. You came asking him. So then why would you invite somebody who literally had him at gunpoint into his house to stay? What if he has PTSD about the situation? Like, what happened to all of your care and concern about Maurice in this situation, guarding his heart, him being safe, y'all not getting robbed, just because Q told y'all a sob story? I'm not here for it. Like, Calvin done lost his mind. But anyway, the whole situation is stupid because how did Q get out of jail in a day? Why is he even there? He was back at the bank. He didn't get arrested. Like, I'm not getting into why this is stupid. But I just had to say that in defense of Maurice, since Tyler Perry's going to continue this stupid storyline. All right, scene number 5. We're at Karen's house with Aaron and Karen. So Aaron comes over with ice cream, and Karen tells Aaron that they sit down and talk. She tells Aaron that she's not over Zach. Newsflash, like she hasn't said this before. But he would be a great father, but she just doesn't want it to be his baby because she doesn't know him well enough. Aaron tells Karen that, you know, he understands they do need to get to know each other. He'll do whatever she wants because he loves her. And then Karen tells him about how everything was so messy, how they started and their foundation. And it's not just because of Zach, it's everything. Then all of a sudden she wants pickles with her ice cream, and Aaron goes to get it. My opinion on this scene, like, I'm so honestly sick of these two. Like, he doesn't listen to her. She doesn't listen to him or herself. He forces his way into her heart. She isn't strong enough to tell him no, but then she also isn't really sure if she doesn't want him there. Like, it's exhausting. They're both like bulldozers. They bulldoze their way into people's lives and into their business, but then they're also doormats. Karen was a doormat for Zach, and that's why she's so mad. And Aaron is a doormat for Karen, and I guess maybe eventually he'll get bitter and mad. We don't know. We'll see. So this is just a hot mess. Like, it's exhausting. I can't say that enough. Like, be together or don't. We are tired. It is season 4. Like, Preston came in at the end of season 1. Aaron has been here since very early in the first season. We're tired. Be together or don't. Maybe it's just me. Y'all let me know in the comments. All right, scene number 6. There were only 8 scenes, so we're getting there. We're at the law firm again with Andy and Robin, and then eventually Hayden will be on the phone with Gary. So Robin's back at the firm. He comes into Andy's office. They flirt for a while and do the little dance that they do. Then Andy asks for the favor about getting Fatima out of jail and making sure that she can keep her job. Then Robin agrees and insists that Andy will have to return that favor. Then she go ahead after they have a few more exchanges, and then she's like, oh, can you also get Zach out too? Then Robin finds out Zach does indeed have a record, and he's like, oh gosh, okay, I'll try to handle it. And I'll also handle Hayden. And that, does something to Andy, because now she's grinning and flirting, and he's the big boss, which he is. And then Robin leaves, and he tells Andy to text her all the information that he knows, and he's going to go get on it immediately. Thank God somebody is. And then now Hayden is still being a stalker, so he immediately calls Gary and is like, hey, he's back here talking about Robin, and I think they're hooking up, but of course Gary doesn't want to hear that, so Gary tells him to drop it. He's like, well, just keep watch on him. Then he also tells Hayden about Jake's report to him about Zach, like, I think he's legit. Jake is my guy. He knows things, and he's telling me that, that Zach seems pretty legit. And Hayden's like, there's no way. Just have your SEC guy continue to look into it. And Gary's like, man, you really, you're really stuck on this dude. And Hayden's like, yeah, so just have him do it. So whatever, Gary agrees, and they continue to both move ahead with their evil schemes and plots. My opinion, Andy and Robin, like, whatever. I mean, nobody's really here for Andy and Gary like that anymore. I mean, the penthouse kind of had us going, and then when it seemed like he was being a better person, but of course, then old Gary pops out. So it's just like, whatever, Andy. You want to be with Robin, be with Robin. But I don't think there's a genuine connection there. I think that Andy is attracted to the power and the money that Robin has, and they are not in love. They're in lust, definitely. If he does stay around, I hope that Tyler Perry can allow their connection to grow and be more than just physical attraction. I think Robin will probably be able to save Zach because he's pretty powerful and well connected. I think Tyler Perry is going to try to stress us out about it for like next week or maybe 2 weeks or whatever. But eventually, because I've read the synopsis for the upcoming episode, Zach is going to be out. So we'll see what happens and how it happens. Also, I do feel like that Robin is going to be like a hero in this scenario. I don't know if something will come out with him later, because people were like, I don't fully trust Robin. But if he can get rid of Hayden and get Zach and Fatima out of jail, we'll take it. And then we'll just see what happens, Because at one point, Hayden helped Andy out. People can change, Tyler Perry will switch a character up real fast. So we'll see. But side note, I just wish that Tyler Perry would let Andy, she's a corporate attorney and she's very successful in a male-dominated position. And could she just not use her body to get ahead for once? She is very smart. He could have written this a different way, but whatever. I'm just throwing that out there. But yeah, moving on to Hayden and Gary, I don't have much to say about that. They're both trash and their time is coming. All right, scene number 7, we're at the jail with Fatima and Andy. So Andy's waiting on Fatima. Fatima comes out and thanks Andy, and Andy's like, hey, Robin got you out, and I think your job will be okay. And then she does have to share about Zach's arrest in the fight, because Fatima started asking about Zach, and she's like, hey, I didn't tell him. Hayden told him, and that's why they got into the fight. Andy assures Fatima that Robin is trying to get Zach out as well. And Fatima's like, oh, I need to get my work cell from the office. And they were going to go get it. But then she's like, well, Zach is here. Can I see him? You think you can get me in to see him? And Andy says that shouldn't be a problem. So she's like, okay, just stay and wait. And I'll try to get you in to see Zach first. And Andy's like, it's going to be okay. Is it going to be okay, Andy? it's probably going to be okay. But Andy said it very nervously. My opinion, Robin will be able to help. It's a mess, but Robin will get them out of this. I do feel that once they can get out of this, I'm hoping that either Fatima will be smart enough to have she and Zach start playing by Hayden's game, which is involve the police and everything, snitch on everybody, all that stuff. Like, they're either gonna have to do it by the book and beat Hayden at his own game, or she's gonna have to really let them dudes take him out next time. Like, there's no in between. Like, you can't be a fake gangster. You don't put a hit out on somebody in the real world and they just go and beat them up. Like, if you put a hit out on somebody, it don't literally mean hit. Y'all know what I'm saying? So, I'm not promoting that. I'm just saying they trying to waddle in between. Like, if you're going to do it, you got to go all the way, or you got to go in the other direction all the way, because this is creating more drama for y'all. All right, y'all, last scene. We're at the supermarket with Sabrina and Danny. First of all, why did he let it in on this scene? Like, anyway, maybe it's just me because I don't care about the storyline. Sabrina and Danny are keeping their original plans to go to Andy's house that night. They're at the supermarket getting some things. Sabrina calls Andy and leaves her a message like, hey, we're at the store, but we're on the way. I'm sure Andy didn't answer because she's at the jail with Fatima. Then Danny notices some women following them around the store. There are these two African women, and they tell Sabrina that she's on the cover of their newspaper. And I believe the lady said Mbiptu was the name. You know, it's supposed to be an African country. Sabrina learns that Bio is a real prince. My opinion, great. Coming to America 3. Like, whatever. She'll end back up with Calvin. Like, I really don't care. All right, so now let's get into the preview for next week's episode. I didn't see another preview, but I never have the video to input those anyway. So this is just a preview that was at the end of the episode. Danny tells Sabrina that it's really Bio in the African newspaper story. While at Andy's house, Sabrina tells Andy that Karen has been missing all day, and then Danny asks, like, hey, Karen told me that she wants Zach back. She said she's going to get him back. So, this must be what led them. So there was an overall trailer for season 4B, and we can see the girls busting in on Karen and Aaron in an intimate moment. So obviously this is what led them there. It's not super exciting or original. Well, first, let me say the next part of the preview. So Karen is crying about something, then you see her and Aaron start to get intimate. So back to what I was saying. It's not super original. Like, they've all busted in on each other at this point, haven't they? So I can tell y'all what's going to happen. I don't have any intel. I don't work for Tyler Perry. I've never been on the set, but I bet y'all I can tell you what's going to happen. Y'all let me know later if I'm wrong. They're going to bust in on Karen and Aaron. Instead of Karen making them leave, she'll let Aaron get up half embarrassed and let him leave, and she'll do a little weak attempt after him, like, oh, Aaron, I'll call you later, you know. And then they'll have their little blind leading the blind hen session, and it'll start about how Karen needs to let go of Zach, but she doesn't listen to anybody, and she'll pretend like she doesn't understand what they're saying. So then it'll move on to digging in and analyzing and picking apart all of their situations to get the heat off of her, and the next person does it to get the heat off of them. Then it'll turn into why all men are trash and why they can't get the love they deserve, and nobody will address the things that they do that doesn't improve their situation or that makes their situations worse. Yeah, y'all let me know if I'm wrong once the episode comes on, because I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen, because it's happened before. Moving on, like I said, the next part of the preview, Karen was crying about something. I couldn't make out what she was saying, but it's just, for me, the fact that she just told this man literally earlier in that same, because this is the same night, that I don't know you well enough to have a baby with you, but then why are you being intimate with him again? I can't. Next up, El Fuego tells Andy he's at Andy's house probably to do that sweep of the apartment to make sure Gary's not spying on her like she asked him to. Tells Andy that Danny treats him bad, and Andy is like, oh, that's probably because between me and you, I think she likes you. I thought boys and girls grew out of that in middle school. I don't know. They're in their 30s. Moving on, Danny tells El Fuego that maybe he can take her to dinner so they can talk. Danny, I love you, sis, but you're just so exhausting. Danny is exhausting. This cannot be the same man who was already taking her out after they went to Eden, and then tried to date you, but you told him you just wanted him to take you to bed. Then you belittle him because of his job as a dancer. So what are we doing? Anyway, last part of the preview. Hayden tells Robin that, oh, I know you're sleeping with Andy. And Robin is like, no, I'm not, because I'm gay. So I can't wait to see how Robin gets in Hayden's head and then blows everything up in his face. This is going to be wonderful because Hayden deserves it. If anybody deserves it, Hayden and Gary, they both need to go down. So anyway, next week, y'all, is season 4, episode 16, entitled Look Closely. And the synopsis, which they're starting not to mean anything. Sabrina realizes that Bio has a significant secret. We found that out this episode, while Karen and Aaron draw closer. We see that in a preview. So great synopsis, Tyler Perry. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. I tried to get done faster than last week. Please light up the comments. Let me know what y'all think. And I have a really hot video I'm coming back with Monday, y'all, because Twitter is in shambles right now. Hashtag Sistas on BT on Twitter if you want to get a little insight into what I'm talking about. I will see y'all very soon. Have a great week.